seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it. Favors, touch all your seatbelts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. We come at you live here today from Evergreen Speedway. And it's going to be 270 laps for the Bridge to Cup Series. Starting on the front row, you've got Cooper Dwight and Tim Cording, followed by Adam Starr and Spinham Walker, Alan Malcolm and Gannon Bird, Luis Rodriguez and Trevor Vaden, Alex Crowther and Jason So, Willow Blake and Alex Sanvital, points leader Carson Bauers alongside Jonah Burridge, Jack Davis and Rich Roy, Eli the Wolf and Matthew Hubert, Krista Cower and Zach Magoon, James Gunner and Jimmy Logano, Alan Chavot and Ryan Little, Cannon Gage and Wyatt Wilkinson, Skylar Taylor and Jamie Horseman, Kat Durham and Andrew Moger, Kyler Sustre and Anheuser Walkner, with Noah Hobson and Roach rounding out the field here today.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Well, I got you good? Four. How about you, Shannon? How'd it clear? Boy, you sound good. Side pulls the whole thing off. There.
Well, Cooper Dwight off to the early lead here today. Tim Cording stuck up on the high side, and he's dropping backwards. As is common on pretty much every short track you go to, you want to get on that inside line, getting the momentum in your favor. Getting stuck on the outside, you just get in a bad position and get dropped backwards quick. So find that inside line is where these drivers are going to prevail. Meanwhile, for Cooper Dwight, his big concern will be lap traffic, probably in about 60 to 80 laps. It's going to be nice to lead, but once the lap traffic factors in, that's where things get interesting. Willow is not wasting any time moving through the field. She just turned a 21.178. Fastest lap was a 20.9, so she's closing in on the top 10 for fastest lap here today. There you have it. She just turned a 20.947, and that is the fastest lap of the race. It'll reset here in a moment once the lap counter catches up. It should be Willow Blake with the fast time now. Yep, there we go. And we're under caution for the first time here tonight. Evergreen is going to be one of those tracks that's probably filled with cautions. Oh boy, a blown engine for Jimmy Logano. And he stalls it on the backstretch. This is where the caution is likely going to be waived, when it stalls on the backstretch. Yes, sir. So, first caution of the race here on lap 7. Going to restack them up. We have double file restarts disabled here today, as that seems to have caused a lot of trouble on the short tracks here in Sigma Racing. So I definitely learned from my mistakes and have adjusted accordingly. Only going to be single file restarts on short tracks going forward. As we're under caution here, let's take a brief side-by-side break. You'll see everything in Sigma side-by-side. Well, we got one more lap under caution here. And with that first caution clearing up the oil down on track from Jimmy Logano's blown engine here today. So one retirement in Jimmy Logano. Things will get interesting here on the restart for sure. Lights are off on the pace car, and it's going to be Cooper Dwight leading them to the restart. As we've got Alan Malcolm, Spinham Walker, Luis Rodriguez, and Willow Blake. Then you've got Tim Cording, 84 there of Alex Crowther, Jack Davis, Carson Bauers, and Matthew Hubert. In full action tonight, single file restarts on short tracks, since NR2003 does not do double file restarts on short tracks very well at all. We learned from that mistake last night at North Wilkesboro with the USA Trucks. Obviously, because it is an add-on program that was never intended to be part of the game, someone else's creation of the game, it sometimes doesn't cooperate well with the game itself. So, wow, Cooper Dwight under attack already. Doesn't matter if you're double file, single file. Our second place driver just bounced to the lead on Cooper Dwight there. And we got a battle brewing here at the front of the field. Cooper Dwight led the initial 13 laps of this race, but now Alan Malcolm to the point, leading his first lap. And he might be under attack by the Dodge Challenger there of Spinham Walker. Willow Blake in the mix as well. Cooper Dwight under attack. We're going to have to see where the points leader, Carson Bauers, is. He's still running 9th, so not bad, top 10. But his competition is that of Willow Blake there. And she's going to try to maximize points gained here on the opposition. But in the meantime, it is Alan Malcolm leading the race. It's been an interesting season for Alan Malcolm as he's had a win in the Truck Series. He's had a win here in Bridge to Cup. And all in all, not a half bad season for this number 19 team. He's driving Toyota across the board and has managed to establish himself in the points battle for both Bridge to Cup and the USA Trucks. You look at the USA Trucks East, where he is in the number 9 truck. He's only 27 points out of the lead from James Gunner. And then here in the Bridge to Cup series, he sits 6th in the points, 153 points out, but obviously 14 races still on the calendar, a lot of racing to be done. With the bracket challenge for the championship, there's a lot that could change at the end of the year here. And could we perhaps see a number 19 take the championship again? It was Bradley Ream in the number 19 last year. So Alan Malcolm has some big shoes to fill, but he's doing all right so far. Tim Cording has worked his way up to 4th. And Alex Crowther as well moves up. That'll drop the 41 of Cooper Dwight backwards here. And a little bit more trouble for Carson Bauers, your points leader, as he starts dropping backwards. He's now back to 11th. From 9th to 11th, the points are going to start bleeding out here for Willow Blake to pick up. Willow's knocking on the door of 2nd place here. Spinham Walker actually has the fastest lap in the race, the number 7 there. Willow Blake going to be able to get around him? "27 laps in, 243 laps to go." It's going to be a long one here for these Bridge to Cup drivers. Not often that they get a lengthier race such as this. It is a short track after all, but run around here at 22nd laps, it seems a little bit longer than the track actually is, so they're keeping it pegged around the track, not dropping much below 90 miles an hour in this very, very tight quarters short track in Monroe, Washington. Willow Blake makes the move for second on Spin'em Walker. That'll bring a second Toyota to the front as you've got a Toyota 1-2. Dodge falls back to third. Cadillac in fourth. And then BMW in fifth. This Bridge to Cup series is kind of the testing ground for our manufacturers before they get up into the Cup series. We have seen pretty much all 5 of them in the Cup series one way or another. Unfortunately, with the Cup series, if you're not performing at a high enough tier, you get dropped back here to Bridge to Cup. So, likes of BMW, they had a team for multiple years in the Sigma Cup series, but were not performing adequately enough and ended up getting dropped back down here as a Bridge to Cup holder. Mazda has not yet made it to Cup, and there's honestly some suggestions that a lot of these manufacturers may hold down the fort in Xfinity, whereas the Cup is kind of a full house at the moment. I don't anticipate seeing very many more of the manufacturers moving up to the Cup side. But you never know. If the right driver comes along and has an allegiance with one of those manufacturers, they could bring them all the way up to Cup. Alan Malcolm has been doing pretty solid here, holding that lead this whole time. But he might need to start playing defense here, as Willow Blake running a lot faster than the 19 and trying to catch up. Carson Bauers has not been able to make up much ground since falling back to 11th. Looks like lap traffic is still quite a distance away from our leaders. So maybe a while before lap traffic actually factors in here tonight. So far in the early running, Alan Malcolm has led 25 laps. Cooper Dwight had led the other 13. But Willow Blake's right there knocking on the door. This is the closest that Willow Blake has been yet, as she's right there up on the back bumper of the 19 now. Lap traffic's a little bit closer proximity here to our leaders. Man, Carson Bauers really has not woke up here today yet. Well, for those of you that are just joining, if you're unfamiliar with the track, this is Evergreen Speedway in Monroe, Washington. It's a home circuit of my own, and maybe a few entries in the field have ties close to Washington State. Willow Blake from Colorado, definitely, it's a little bit closer to home. It's definitely not the home track, like we've got Pikes Peak on the schedule, so that's her home track. But Evergreen here, Monroe, Washington, it's a very fun little short track. A lot of great racing action. One of the few events they host here each year is a race event called the 90 Minutes of Fear, which the FEAR is an acronym for Figure 8 Auto Racing. And so you can already imagine why it's called 90 Minutes of Fear, where they'll have Figure 8 right here on the front stretch pretty much, where they're driving by. They'll take out those barriers that separate pit road and the main course, and they turn it into a Figure 8 racetrack right on the front stretch there. It's pretty crazy. I've been to it once, and it was pretty wild. Definitely would go again. But there's a lot more racing ventures that we get to see at this track year-round. You'll see legends, you'll see modifieds, you'll see late models. So it's kind of a jack-of-all-trades kind of racetrack. What's not very well prominent in the game here is that they actually have a smaller inside track that they race. Some of your like Hornets, the Legends especially, run that inside smaller track. And so it's a really nice racing venue, one of the very few that exist in Washington State. It is NASCAR sanctioned, so they do get the weekly series. So Western NASCAR weekly series, which is, I think, the only one with NASCAR sanctioning here on this side of the world, in Washington, that is. Ooh, and we're under caution here. Ooh, Willow's having to avoid. She drops low to avoid. Oh, no. Wyatt Wilkinson is involved in a wreck here tonight. Looks like with the 97 of Alan Chavot. Oh, no. Engine failure for the 16 of Wyatt Wilkinson. He was running in 20th there and just blew her up. Man, what a tough break. And then he tries to get down the apron and then just, I think, spinning out in his own oil there. Collects a whole bunch of other cars right behind him. Tough break for the 16 team. And a few more retirements on the race now. Both cautions tonight have been due to a engine failure. The second one actually involved multiple drivers. Retired out of the race. Wyatt Wilkinson's going to get 32nd here tonight. And Alan Chavot also out of the race, finishing in 33rd. There's one driver right there that's definitely happy after last night's race in the Truck Series. Took a plane flight from North Wilkesboro to get here in Washington just in time to run this race here today. He won the race in North Wilkesboro for the USA Trucks East. So could he go back-to-back nights of winning? He's in a good spot here already in the top 10. Might need a little bit of luck to come his way. We're going to go ahead and drop the pace laps by 1 here so we can get back rolling sooner than later. Everyone's made their pit stop. Let us take a look at the pit window. Brought to you by NR2003. 153 laps is the projected window. We're at 196 laps to go, so there's definitely going to be at least one more round of pit stops. Lights are off, so we'll get going next time by. You've got the Toyota duo leading the way of Alan Malcolm and Willow Blake, followed by Spin'em Walker, Alex Crowther, Jack Davis, Matthew Hubert, Tim Cording, your points leader, Carson Bauers, Cannon Gage, Eli the Wolf, James Gunner, Alex Sanvital, Rich Roy, Kyler Sestre, and Trevor Vaden, your top 15. As we skim, wow, Cooper Dwight still has not been able to resurge here today as he's running in 30th after leading the beginning of the race. Now, is Alan Malcolm going to get a good jump here, or is he going to be sleeping when the green flag waves? Almost a carbon copy of the last restart where he was able to bounce and get the lead. It's going to go in the favor of Willow Blake this time as she gets one hell of a jump on the 19 there of Malcolm. Willow Blake looking to take the lead and seal the deal here on lap 77. And sure enough, Willow Blake to the point. Alan Malcolm struggling as he's on the outside line, getting gobbled up by competitors behind him. Might be able to settle into third here, if he's lucky. So it's not been a good place to be on the restarts here today. You don't want to be the leader, apparently. Oh, and they're wrecking behind. Oh, and that is a hard hit for James Gunner. Gunner, your Trucks East points leader. Also running a full season of Bridge to Cup here. Alex Sanvital just clips the back bumper and goes for one hell of a wild ride there. The 32 tumbles twice and lands on all fours. And we're under caution yet again here today at Evergreen. It's actually kind of nice. A lot of organic wrecks here tonight. It's not like a wreck fest necessarily, but you can definitely see that these drivers are trying to hang it out there, lay it on the line. And James Gunner now joins the field of retirements here today. It's actually interesting that we're not seeing any takers down pit road. Perhaps the drivers feel like they can make it to the finish with the caution laps to help them out here. We go ahead and give a wave around to our lucky dog, Zach Magoon. And since no one decided to pit, we're going to go ahead and get the pace lights turned back off so we can get rolling for a restart here. Willow Blake is going to lead the field to the restart on lap 82 here. This time she's going to be defending the spot from Spin'em Walker, who has the fastest lap in the race so far. The pace car pulls off. Are we going to see another sleeping start from your leader? Second place driver has been able to get the jump every time on each restart so far. Could Willow Blake break that trend? And of course, Willow Blake breaks that trend and keeps the lead. And she's cruising up front now, as the 7 starts to lose a little bit of gain. A little bit on the slower side to the 02 of Blake there. Carson Bauers in 8th. As the points battle goes, Willow Blake has given up a substantial amount of points to Carson Bauers over the last 2 races, where she had struggled to finish ahead of him. Carson Bauers was able to secure back-to-back wins in the last 2 races, which really kind of drove home the stretch that has grown to a 77-point advantage over Willow Blake. Max points you can get is about 50 points over your competitor. And Willow Blake looking to maybe gain about 18 points if everything goes right on her competitor in the number 12 car. Now, that's going to be a little bit harder now, especially since Carson Bauers has moved up to 5th. Now you're looking at only about a 10-point gain for Willow Blake as they run right now. Tim Cording, he's going to try to be the team owner for Willow Blake next year. I know there's a lot of dominoes in place, and you know, one thing's going to have to fall over before the next one can be put in play. But Willow Blake's definitely going to have a ride in the Cup Series next year. Well, Willow Blake just set the fastest lap at the front of the field. So not only is she leading the race, she's setting down some blistering laps at the front of the field. We still have not seen any lap traffic factor into this race for our leaders yet, as we keep getting cautions to kind of break up the race pace here tonight. Even with the 3 cautions, things have been going by pretty quickly here, as we're able to get back to the racing action as quick as possible. But now with Willow Blake at the lead, she is checking out on the rest of the field. Spinham Walker in second, Alan Malcolm third, Alex Crowther, and Carson Bauers. Bauers seems to have maybe made some adjustments on that number 12 car, as he has bounced from 11th up to 5th. Willow's lead has grown to about a 3-second lead over Spinham Walker. And she's even starting to really catch up to the tail end of the field. We're about 8 seconds separating her from the last car on the lead lap. At the pace she's running, she'll be catching up to the back of the field probably in another 40 laps, so which would put us at about halfway. We're closing in on that halfway mark here in tonight's race from Evergreen, the Washington Spuds 270. 270 laps around this short track. Since taking the lead, Willow Blake has not looked back. And our lap leaders look a little bit something like this, where you've got 36 laps led so far by Willow Blake, 62 of them led by Alan Malcolm, 13 of them led by Cooper Dwight. And that is your 3 different leaders here in today's race. Willow could really get max points here today if she can lead the most laps. And we'll have to see who gets the hard charger award. Most likely not going to be Willow Blake, as she qualified up in the top 10. But you never know how it might work out. Sometimes gaining 10 spots might be enough to get that hard charger award. Kind of been a game, back and forth game of ping pong with Willow Blake and Carson Bauers. Bauers wins, Willow Blake wins. It's kind of now back in the court for Willow Blake tonight. And I'm not trying to jinx anything. I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it. And I think those are going to be your 2 contenders all the way down to the title battle at the end of the year. And we got another caution. Hopefully Willow stays out of it. That was the last car on the lead lap there, the 46 of Gannon Bird, involved in a wreck. That's a tough way to end your night. He was already the last car on the lead lap. Oh wow, the 51 gets turned by the 41 of Cooper Dwight. Zach Magoon goes for a spin and collects the 46. Nowhere he could have gone. Just running in last place, and then an innocent bystander in the wreck. Well, this will give everyone the fuel and tires needed to make it to the finish here today. But there's always going to be someone rolling the dice. And that gentleman who rolled the dice here is Tim Cording, who decides to stay out while everyone else pitted. An interesting move for sure. We'll see how it works. I'm thinking fresh tires are going to be bigger here, and Willow Blake will probably get the jump on the restart. Alrighty, the pace car getting ready to pull off here. I think we're going to keep our camera on Willow Blake because I do not anticipate Tim Cording to hold that lead for long. Carson Bauers in 6th, Willow Blake in 2nd. Willow gets a good start there. Doesn't get up alongside Tim yet though, but it's just a matter of time before she gets alongside the 50. As they go through turn 3 and now turn 4. Tim Cording's gonna make a fool of me as he's gonna hold the lead here for a while. Maybe a worthwhile gamble. Try and get some laps led here. Tim Cording is not able to really get too far away here as the rest of the field has stayed pretty steady on his back bumper. Oh no, Willow gets shuffled here and under attack by Alex Crowther. Crowther has multiple wins this season and would love to get some more. He's putting it to Willow Blake right now for 2nd place. Now this is getting interesting as what seemed to be a great race going for Willow Blake, she's got a little bit of adversity to deal with here. She's probably hoping or wishing there had not been a caution at that point because this caution has really upset the apple cart for the number 02 Toyota of Willow Blake. And there we've got a swap for the lead as Alex Crowther blows by Tim Cording. He's got the fresher tires, he's got the full tank of gas, and it doesn't matter. Tim Cording drops to 2nd. Carson Bauers gets by Willow Blake. That's going to start growing that points advantage in the favor of Carson Bauers again. Willow Blake has not had a great stellar restart here. She's struggling. Everyone looks like they've pretty much got their hands full here since the restart. It's been a difficult run here for some folks. Carson Bauers gets shoved up high here by Eli the Wolf. Alan Malcolm making a move on Tim Cording as we've got passes going on everywhere at the front of the field. Willow's still struggling to get on that inside lane as the 24 of San Vital, or rather Sustre, my bad, Kyler Sustre in the 24 BMW Ruby entry there. Oh, Willow is gonna lose some more ground. The backwards drop continues for Willow Blake here as she led a resounding amount of laps here today. 42 laps, and she's going to have a big mountain to climb back out of as she's going to get slopped back into 14th. Now the day is far from over. A lot could happen to get her back up to the front, but it's gotten a little bit harder here for Alex Crowther out front over Alan Malcolm, Tim Cording, Eli the Wolf, and Carson Bauers. Carson Bauers getting shuffled up here by Kyler Sestre. Sestre wants to get into the top 5. Oh, Rich Roy just spins Kyler Sestre as they were fighting for 5th place. Who else is going to be in it? Hopefully no one else gets involved. Oh, and there's another one wrecking in the background. Willow gets just a touch of it here. Oh, nothing too severe. She just got really low on the track trying to avoid it. And so this, folks, this is just short track racing right here at its finest. Kyler Sestre gets run into by Rich Roy. They're all trying to give it their all. But if you look further back, the 24 is not getting going. And this, oh, the 35 clips the 41 and takes out the 21 of Ryan Little. Pretty mild wreck there for the most part, but this one is not so mild. The 21 gets clipped hard into that outside wall. And I think we just added more drivers to the retirement list here tonight. Ouch. Man, oh man. So, we're going to see a whole bunch of folks come down pit road. Luis Rodriguez decides to stay out. And the 84 rejoins in second. He pitted though, so the 48 is going to be on older tires here, having to fend for the restart. Alan Malcolm in third, Eli the Wolf, Tim Cording, Carson Bauers, Jamie Horseman, Trevor Vaden, Krista Cower, and Alex Sanvital. Willow Blake's going to restart in 13th. We'll see if maybe she's got an adjustment on the car that can help. But it goes from one KBM entry to another KBM entry leading the race after some strategy calls. As Tim Cording was leading on the last restart, now it's going to be his teammate, Luis Rodriguez. Definitely has been a grueling race here today. Has not been easy on quite a bit of the competitors. Newly retired out of the race, the 51, the 46 are out of the race. 28 cars still on the lead lap, though. As you've got the 48 leading over the 84. Luis Rodriguez stays out, trying to capitalize on track position here. Well, it looks like they're trying to behave now as we've settled into a long single file run all the way through the field. It's kind of amazing when you have as many cautions as we've had that the drivers actually start to simmer down a little bit. The problem is, if you're not happy where you're running right now, you might not be happy with the place where you finish at the end of the race. So it's kind of a give and take. You got to figure out what risks you're going to take and if you're going to be content with just running the course. Willow Blake not looking to be content with running 13th as she's trying to take 12th away from Matthew Hubert. That 02 has had a bit of struggles here since the last restart, but it looks like she's got some clean track to run with here as she gets by the 81 and sets her sights on the number 7 now. At one point they were running 1-2. Well, now they're running 11th, 12th. Luis Rodriguez was stretching it out there, but it looks like Alex Crowther's starting to catch back up. This may be the advantage of the fresher tires on the 84 starting to show up here as he really closed the gap on Luis Rodriguez that last lap. Alex Crowther in the BMW looking fast here, but he's getting held up a little bit as now the 19 of Alan Malcolm peaks on the inside. You've got Cadillac, BMW, Toyota running 1, 2, 3. And then in fourth, a Dodge, followed by yet another Cadillac and Mazda. Ford, Honda, Subaru, and Dodge rounding out your top 10. Willow Blake's not been able to get much higher than 12th yet, but she's right there on the back bumper of the 7, working on it. But it looks like there could be a lead change brewing here at the front of the field, as Luis Rodriguez has held it pretty well here since the restart, but it's looking like the tires are starting to show. He's not got quite the pace that the drivers behind him do. Wow, the whole front of the field has kind of collided at the front here as they've started to really scrunch back up. Luis Rodriguez's pace has definitely faltered here, and that's only allowed everyone else to catch back up. Eli the Wolf in fourth, Tim Cording in fifth, and Carson Bauers in sixth. Willow Blake making a move for 12th, or rather 11th. That would get her one more spot closer to the front end of the field. And one spot shy of a top 10. We are going to be down to 101 laps to go here from Evergreen. We're pretty much set on fuel mileage, so these drivers, they're going to have what they've got for the rest of the race. We still have not yet seen lap traffic factor in at all, because we kept getting those pesky cautions all night. Once we had a good run going, something would go wrong, a caution would come out and slow things back down. So if we can have one long push here at the end, we might see lap traffic factor in, but maybe not. Might get another caution before the end of it. Luis Rodriguez under heavy pressure here by the 84 of Alex Crowther. Crowther trying to find an opening, but has not been able to do so yet. Great, we're under caution once again here tonight. It has been hard to get a full green flag run. And it's yet another blown engine, this time the 81 with a blown engine here at Evergreen. He comes to a set on the backstretch, and that's where the yellow flag waves. Wow. Yeah, we just we cannot seem to catch a break here tonight, as this would mark our 6th caution of the evening. So we'll get things resorted here, and we'll come back in just a little while once the racing action gets back and going. Alrighty, we're back and rolling here with 94 laps to go. Luis Rodriguez leads the 84 of Alex Crowther, and now Eli the Wolf up to 3rd as our 3 start to drive away from the rest of the field. How long are we going to stay green here? Is it going to go the rest of the way, or are we going to get another caution before the end of it? Carson Bauers stuck up on the high side. He's starting to lose some spots here as he's in 6th, falling back to 7th. Under attack for potentially 8th or worse, he could fall. So now's when it gets, this is the make or bake time. You gotta get it while the getting's good. And a lot of the drivers getting by some of the other drivers to gain some spots on the restart here, and then once they get settled in, that's kind of where you shuffle out. I'll be damned, Luis Rodriguez has been holding this lead steady at the front. He's now up to 62 laps led. That ties Alan Malcolm, but only briefly as he led another lap there. Luis Rodriguez has led most laps here today at 63. Alan Malcolm sitting in third, just kind of waiting in the wings behind him, hoping to maybe get back up there and fight for some laps led. But the clock is ticking. Is he going to be able to catch him or not? Willow Blake's kind of settled into 14th, and Carson Bauers has fallen back to 11th, and he's bounced back up to 10th. So 66 laps to go. We could still see something get shaken up here before the end. Well, we're down to 35 laps left to go here today. Looks like they might actually get settled in and run it to the finish without too much to hinder them. Could end it with the longest run of the night. Luis Rodriguez has been dominantly holding the lead. He's up to 95 now, 96 laps led. And Alan Malcolm, the only way he's going to be able to match that is if he were to take the lead right now. And that ain't going to happen. Luis Rodriguez locks up, led most laps here today in the number 48. Good for some bonus points to his tally. But Alan Malcolm trying to close the gap on him and fight for the win. Crowther in third, Eli the Wolf fourth, Trevor Vaden, Chris DeCower, Tim Cording, Spinnenwalker, and Carson Bauers, followed by Cannon Gage, Rich Roy, and Willow's finally made it, well, into 12th here, so she's gained a couple spots from 14th. The rest of the field as we skim through them there. Seems like lap traffic is just not going to be a factor here today for our leaders. So we're down to 30 laps left to go now. It looks like it might be a two-car fight for the win. Well, Alan Malcolm is right there on the back bumper of Luis Rodriguez. Is it going to be Rodriguez for the win, or is it going to be Malcolm? Both these drivers have a win on the season. They're looking to add an extra win to their name here in 2025. Well, with 16 laps to go, it's come down to this. Luis Rodriguez and Alan Malcolm, these two inseparable at the front of the field. It's going to be one or the other. Who's got what it takes to outsmart the other? 48's led most laps here today, gets that bonus. But Alan Malcolm would rather get the win, even if he can't get led most laps here today. These are definitely two of about 5 contenders that we've had here tonight fighting for the win. Willow Blake unfortunately got shuffled out of the mix and had some unfortunate tweaks to the car that had upset the performance of the O2. And she's just been trying and struggling to get back upwards. It looks like it's going to be a wash on the points battle between Willow Blake and Carson Bauers. First time tonight, lap traffic is actually going to factor into this one, as Luis Rodriguez is slowly catching the tail end of the field here. That could open the gates for the 19 of Malcolm. But the lap's quickly bleeding away here. We'll have to see if it even factors in. Could. But at the same time, I don't know if they're catching the tail end of the field quick enough. Now we are down to just 9 laps left in this race here. Luis Rodriguez has not put a wheel wrong yet since the last restart of the race. Given that number 48 Valvoline Cadillac won a hell of a run here today at Evergreen. The lap traffic that they have caught up to, that is the 35 of Cat Durham. And may very well be the only opportunity Alan Malcolm's got left to really make a pounce on the 48. Seven laps remaining. Malcolm right there on the back bumper of the 48. Might even get physical here for the win. You never know. Some of these guys might try to do the bump and run. If you're Alan Malcolm, I'm pretty sure it's at least crossed his mind. He's that close on the back bumper of the 48. Why wouldn't you give it a shot? He's caught right on up to the 48, and they have caught right on up to the 35. Race tonight that has been hampered with caution flags, keeping the race pace at a snail's pace. But it's actually going to come down to a battle for the win with the closing laps on us right here. Alan Malcolm right there. Look at that. Malcolm making some good moves there. Now what has the 48 got to try and get around the 35? It's insane that it took us the entire race for lap traffic to even factor in here tonight. And for our leader, he's probably wishing it wouldn't have come true. Lap traffic to mess with the outcome of this race, as it could very possibly turn out right here. 35 is holding up the 48. That 19, he's trying to find an opening. This time by, the white flag's waving in the air. One more lap to go here at Evergreen. And these three, you could not separate them. They are tied together at the front of the field. 19 of Malcolm's only got one more shot here. Is he going to try to go high and go around the outside, or is he going to dip low? Doesn't look like anything's going to change as the 48 rolls across to take the checkered flag. He even makes the move alongside the 35 after the checkered. So congratulations to Luis Rodriguez on getting his second win of the Bridge to Cup season. The rest of the finishers, we had Alan Malcolm, Alex Crowther, the number 8 of Eli the Wolf, the number 50 of Tim Cording, Trevor Vaden, Krista Cower, Carson Bauers, Spinham Walker, and Willow Blake comes back home for a top 10 finish here tonight at Evergreen. Crazy race, a lot of carnage, wrecks, and chaos, and 270 laps in the books for this Bridge to Cup series in the 16th race on the calendar. Carson Bauers is going to start stretching out that lead a little bit more over Willow Blake after he beat her heads up here by 2 spots on track. And that's a wrap tonight, folks, for our Bridge to Cup action here from Evergreen Speedway. Congratulations to Luis Rodriguez on getting win number 2 on the season for Cording Brothers Motorsports. I think that's their 3rd win on the season as a team. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Glad that the race went off without any hitches, unlike our truck race the other night. So with that, I would like to bid y'all farewell. Have a great night. Stay safe out there. Until next time, this is Jakester signing out.